Hey there, do you dream of escaping into a book? Maybe your escape includes a cozy cabin in the mountains or a magical town along the coast. Either way, you're in the right place. Welcome to Literary Escapes with me, Becky. This year on the podcast, we're exploring the United States. So every week I'm going to bring you a new book set in a different state. So let's see where we're going today. Okay, welcome back to the Literary Escapes podcast. Today, we are continuing our trek around the United States, and we are visiting New Jersey. Our tour guide today is Kimberly Miller. Welcome, Kimberly.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm so glad to be here.
I am excited to have you. And New Jersey is one of those states that is like the stepsister to New York, I think.
Mhm.
I don't know
Can be.
personally a lot about New Jersey other than kind of the probably parody that is often associated,
Sure.
with the
Yeah.
accents and that kind of thing. And so
Mhm.
I'm excited to hear about New Jersey and why I should stop on my way up to Massachusetts instead of just
Oh,
cruising on through. So share New Jersey with us.
So I actually hadn't written much outside of Pennsylvania, which is where I'm based. And when I had a few readers say to me, have you ever thought about writing elsewhere? And I was kind of thinking about it, and it's just when I started to think about and draw out Hattie's story a little bit. It needed to be someplace other than Pennsylvania. It needed to be kind of a vacation spot, kind of an
Nice.
area that people would go to and, want to go to the beach. And I sort of took that with the idea of, Las Vegas. Everyone talks about what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. And I feel like when you go on vacation, you sort of have that feeling of where
Mhm.
when I go away, I can do what I want, but like it just stays there and I get to go home. But
Right.
my thought was, what about the people that still live there? And so I was really trying to grow that a little bit. And I picked New Jersey mainly because, and this is a lot of years ago and a little bit off the track, but some girlfriends of mine and I were talking about how we should go away and just do a girls' weekend.
Nice.
And we talked about it so much that I said, why don't we just go look into it? Like it's silly with the way we talk about these things and we never actually step out and do them.
Yeah.
And so one of my friends and I, we went to, AAA, travel agency and just sort of looked into it. And we started with a different state, and I won't say where it was, but we went to a beach and we did that for like 3 or 4 years, and it was working and it was fun and we had a great time. But then we decided we'd heard New Jersey would be a great place to go. And so we went and we absolutely fell in love with Ocean City, New Jersey. So that's kind of where I'm basing Unity
Ah,
Beach in the story, because we'd gone there. I think we went 6 or 7 years in a row, up until 2020, when of course everything was
right.
shut down. We couldn't really go anywhere. We did go a few more years after that, and then we started to go our separate ways. So we haven't gone as much recently, but we still love that place. And what we love about it is when we go, number one, it's very family friendly and it's very clean. And
Nice.
so we're able to find a really nice hotel. We've actually stayed in different hotels, a street or two away from the beach. And so we pretty much park the car and we just walk and go everywhere walking, which is just so
Nice.
much fun.
Yeah.
There's a great downtown welcoming feeling. So it almost has, even though it's a beach vibe and it's a vacation destination, it really has this hometown, small town kind of feel to it, which I really liked. And I kept thinking about how there was one restaurant in particular that we went to so many times that we started just basing our entire trip around how many times we could get to this one restaurant. And the wait staff there came to know us as the Pittsburgh girls. That's not really where we're from, but we were close enough that they would call us that. So we have pictures of us with the wait staff, and like Earl made our coffee, and like, we just think about Earl when we're not there, and the
I
fact that
love
he
it.
is, yeah, so it just became this whole vibe. Um, in fact, we left such a nice review on Yelp of their restaurant that when we were talking about it, mentioned it to the waitress. The cook actually came out of the kitchen and just like she was in tears. She just wanted to
Aw.
thank us for how lovely we had been to them. So that was really a lot of the foundation of this. Was these are really great people that are a part of a really great community that's also very transient. You've got people coming in and
Mhm.
going out all the time. And so while it's this lovely atmosphere, I guess there was a curiosity in me of what it would be like to just be there. It's kind of like living in Disneyland all the time, right?
Right,
Um,
right.
but the people that are coming in and out maybe don't treat it as such, don't treat it as someone's home. They treat it as a vacation spot. So
Right.
so that for me was really the part of New Jersey that I wanted to focus on, was the Ocean City, New Jersey area, Asbury Street, and just so many of the other places there that we just loved, the little coffee shops, the little, boutiques, that sort of thing. That was really the heart of what I wanted to get to with this story.
I love that. My husband's family went to Cape Hatteras every other summer,
Okay.
like the whole time my kids were growing up.
Yes.
And the guys always went fishing, and Captain Earl got to
Okay.
know all of the guys because they would
Uh,
come every other year and they always, went out fishing with
yeah.
him. And so for like 20 years, they've
Oh, wow.
gone to see this guy. And it's same
Oh,
type of thing where
yeah.
even though you don't live there, you know people and they
No.
know
Yeah.
you, even though
Yeah.
you're not one of the communities. I love that.
Right.
I think that's a really neat premise um, for doing a book, but also I think that's a
Yeah.
really cool place to visit
Yeah.
for a vacation. And so living in Florida, we have beaches for
Hmm.
days. And
Sure.
so how are the beaches in New Jersey? What do they look and feel like?
So what I noticed about them, I don't know what part of Florida you're in. I have a very good friend that lives in Florida, and I visit her. I try once a year to get down there, and I try to go in like March when it's really cold
Nice.
here, and I can enjoy it
Probably a
there.
good plan.
Um, yeah, and she's in the Melbourne area, so we've been
Nice.
to Cocoa
Okay.
Beach and some of those areas. And I feel like there's probably more of a tourist feel when you're in Florida than there is in New
Hmm.
Jersey. Like I said, it feels a little more small townish, although it does have the beach vibe. The thing that I notice is when you go to the beach in New Jersey, at least in the areas that we've gone to, um, is that you often have to pay to get onto the beach. And I
Oh.
think that holds people at a certain level of accountability. And I think there's a certain level of cleanliness there. I know when we had gone to our first few girls' weekends in another state, the beaches were dirtier.
Mm.
And we actually watched a drug bust go down in front of us on the beach, which was very bizarre. And I mean,
That's
we're
a
from
little
this little
disconcerting. Yeah. Ooh.
it really was, and I mean, we're just from tiny town in Pennsylvania, and it was just this like, we're watching like we're
Yeah.
watching reality TV unfold,
Right.
and you just, Ocean City, New Jersey, we just have never seen anything like that, and even the hotel in the other state was louder, and people were partying and that kind of thing, and so I noticed that the beach vibe that you get in New Jersey, as I said, it's more of a family friendly feel.
Nice.
You have maybe older couples, you have people that are looking for that quiet time.
Hmm.
We generally go, we sit on the beach. I will read most of the day under an umbrella. I don't get sunburned because I don't even go out. I mean, I'm like,
Right.
I'm enjoying the sounds. I'm enjoying the people.
Hmm.
The seagulls are pretty savage. They will tear pizza out of your hand, as happened to one of my friends.
Yikes.
But other than that, I would say the cleanliness of it, and I think the family friendly vibe. I would go every morning and walk by myself, and
Hmm.
I never felt unsafe.
Nice.
Um, and it was, and there seemed to be a police presence, but not the sense that it was like overbearing or overwhelming, but more
Right.
like, hey, we're here if you need us kind of a thing, just very
Nice.
visible. So I felt like that really stood out to me as being kind of a just a very welcoming type of feel
Especially
on the
after
beach.
your other experience. What
Yeah,
a
for sure.
difference. That's yeah.
For
Yeah.
sure.
That's interesting. Yeah, I grew up outside of Daytona. And so a lot
Okay.
of my growing up years were in the Daytona area, which is incredibly
Yeah,
touristy. I mean, that's,
sure.
and, in the time that I grew up, it was the MTV era. And so,
Oh goodness. Okay. Sure.
exactly,
Crazy.
it was
Craziness. Yeah, I
crazy. And
gotcha.
I, I love beaches that are more quiet and smaller, small town feel. And so I think Ocean City sounds like a really lovely place to go hang
It
out.
really does.
Yeah, that would resonate with me and my family a lot, I think. So I like
And
that.
there's a great used bookstore that is
Nice.
far. It's kind of on the one of the main streets. It's within walking distance of a lot of the hotels we've stayed in. And you can take your books in and get credit, and then
Ooh,
you get a nice little discount. So I generally would go in with a monster bag of books and come out with a monster bag of books and have to make like 2 or 3 trips because, well, they might have gotten something else in like one day that I have been there,
yeah.
missed, whatever. So that's always fun too. I always
That's a
look forward
fun
to that as well.
experience. Yeah. We typically stay in rental houses
when
Mhm.
we would go to Cape Hatteras. And so I would bring a few books that I wanted to leave there because a lot of them have
Oh,
libraries
yeah.
in the house. And so I
Sure.
would just trade out my books for whatever they had. And
I
so
love that.
yeah,
I love that.
it's a fun way to try some new books and leave
For
some of your
sure.
favorites for someone else to enjoy. So
Oh,
I
yeah.
enjoy I enjoy when books are part of vacation because they
Mhm.
certainly should be. I mean,
Oh,
they
always,
certainly
without a
should be.
doubt.
So you,
Yeah.
if I read correctly, your degree is in like athletic training. Is that
No, actually, it's not. I'm not sure where that came up with.
okay?
I feel like, what's funny is somehow, I think it was on a writers group that I went on. I did like I don't remember what it was, but it was some sort of like a panel discussion, and they generated my information through AI, which was so not accurate. And one of the things that came up was athletic training. I actually was an athletic training major for one semester, and it
Oh,
was the worst time of my life. I almost
oh my
quit college.
gosh,
I sat on my parents' kitchen floor and cried my eyes out and said, "I'm too done for
I
school.
can't do
I
this.
cannot I cannot be in education in any way. How did I end up here?" And my mom just asked me to please finish the year, go undeclared, that whole thing. So I think what happened there was it was my fun fact was that I was at one time an athletic
Uh,
training, and somehow AI spun that into she's an athletic
this is
her
your
dream,
thing.
to be an athletic trainer.
Okay.
It was more my parents didn't go to college, and you know, they were like, just find something that you like. And I'm like, that's great. You know what I mean? And I liked sports, but there was no the guidance counselor wasn't helpful. And my mom and dad were like, do something you really like. And I'm like, that's awesome.
And at
And yeah,
17, 18 years old, who the heck knows what you want to do with,
it
I mean,
didn't really know how to pick a major. And so I
no.
went undeclared for a semester, and they asked me, at the school, kind of, what do you like? Because we need to give you a new advisor. And I was like, well, I'm going undeclared. Isn't there somebody that just sort of mentors you through? And they were like, nah, you got to pick something. And I said, I don't know, writing papers is easy. So I just said English. And I got this great advisor. And, I think it started to click with my parents at that point that this was really what I should have been doing because I'd always been writing stories. But everybody presumed I would become a teacher. And I was like, yeah, that's not happening, which is, of course, what I do now. Um, but yeah, so I started athletic training. It didn't go well. I ended up English, and all of my degrees are actually in English or writing.
Okay. And you're a teacher now? Is that what?
I am, yeah, I'm a college
Okay.
professor now. Yeah,
Okay.
so
Okay.
I did a lot of things that tell God your plans and he will laugh. So
Exactly.
yeah, I took public speaking over a summer because I thought I'll never need this garbage in my life. And that's exactly what I do every day is speak in
Oh,
public.
isn't that
Um,
funny? Yeah.
yeah, I said, I'm not going to teach. I do not want to be in front of the classroom. I don't know all the answers. This is not something I'm going to be good at. And I'm not only a professor, but I'm also the head of the department of communication. So tell God your plans. I'm the
Yeah.
evidence. Yeah, he'll laugh
You
and he'll
just
think you're
never
really
know where
cute.
life is going to take you. That's
I do
so
not,
funny. So,
for
how did
sure.
you go from English? Well, I mean, English obviously makes sense, but being a college professor to like actually sitting and writing stories.
So when I was I always wrote stories starting probably in junior high. I met a friend of mine, and she was new to the school, and I always loved when there was a new kid because we were in a very small school, and so you'd get a new person, and I just like flocked to that person because it was really interesting to me to talk to somebody who
Yeah.
hadn't grown up in the same area, and so she and I hit it off really well, and actually, it was English class, and she started sharing with me that she wrote these stories, and basically she would take some public figure or some celebrity and she would spin it so they were in the story together, solving a crime or getting involved in a romance or like whatever it was. And I thought that was super cool. So I started writing stories with her, and we'd get on the phone every night and we'd read them to each other.
Oh, how
And so
fun.
that's kind of where it started, which was like our really fun little thing to do. And then, I mean, that drifted off a little bit. And then the whole college thing happened. When I got to my master's degree, I was sort of pulling back into creative writing at that point.
Hmm.
Um, and I wanted to do a screenplay. I'd taken a screenwriting class, and so I did that. And I didn't, the screenplay didn't go anywhere. And that's,
Okay.
you getting a movie is really difficult. But I love the characters. And I thought I'm just going to try my hand because I read a lot. I'm going to try my hand at spinning this screenplay into a novel. And so
Okay.
Picking Daisy was actually, this is funny, Picking Daisy was actually written as a screenplay at the same time I was writing my dissertation for my PhD because I hate academic writing. Don't tell my employer, but I can do academic writing, but like it's not fun for me. So while I was doing the dissertation, it was kind of like a slog. Like, I need to get this thing done. But I had this great idea over here for the screenplay. So I finished the screenplay at the same time, or
Oh,
finished the screenplay earlier than that, but I turned it into a novel around that same time.
nice.
And so just kind of when I finished the dissertation, I was done with picking Daisy. And it took a while. I got an agent. I did the whole thing with that.
Okay.
I didn't foresee it becoming what it's become now, but people really liked my books. And I don't say that. I mean, obviously my mom is the first to write the review, and, and my good friends are on there, but they've told other people, and they've legitimately came to me and said, like, I really liked this. And one of my friends from high school even said, I was reading it in a Cracker Barrel, and he's a Navy guy, and he's like, picture me in my whole full gear. He worked with what are the Angels? I can't think what their names are, but
Okay,
anyway,
yeah.
but yeah, so
Blue Angels or
Blue
something.
Angels, I
Is that
think he
them?
worked with them, yeah. And he said, picture me in my, suit and all that, sitting there in Cracker Barrel, like, because I had to finish it. And I'm like, that's hilarious to
That's an
me.
awesome visual. I
It was a great review. Like, that was really encouraging because, yeah, I mean, I'm so grateful when my parents say, like, or my mom, my dad's not reading it, but when my mom says, I love your books and I can't wait for the next one, like, that's really great. I love that my mom is so supportive. She's also my mom, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? So when you
yeah.
hear somebody that didn't have to say that they enjoyed it, um, that means the world to me. So writing now
Mhm.
is kind of my escape. I mean, my bread and butter is teaching, and I really like it, and I really feel like I'm led to do that. Um, but yeah, writing and creating new stories is my escape, and I
I
still
love that.
enjoy it a whole lot.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you've got somewhere in the neighborhood of a dozen books out, right?
Yeah, I've got 11 right now.
Okay.
I've got, I don't know where my list is. I think I have 17 or 18 completed,
Wow.
and in various stages of editing. And I have one right now that I'm really excited that I'm working on that is a little bit of a departure for me. My main characters generally are in the ballpark of like 30-year-olds, like 20s, 30s-year-olds,
Yeah.
which is kind of the genre of romance, right? But I wanted to try something a little different. And I had this idea and spark for a story, and it's kind of two things. One was one of my students had told me a story about something she and her friends did. And I said, that's hilarious. I said, can I use that in my books? So she talked to her friends, and her friends came and met with me, and they were like, we think you should write this. But I wanted to take it out of being a college aged type thing and put it into an older setting with older
Nice.
characters. So my characters in the next book are actually mid 60s,
Love
and
it.
I'm loving it because it's one of these things where the female character has been widowed for a while, and the male character never married, and they were kind of a thing in high school, but kind of it never came together.
Yeah.
And now they've reunited in a really unique and funny way, and he's not giving up this opportunity. And she's sort of like, I had my chance at true love with my husband, and we were great. Like, we're not besmirching her marriage at
Right.
all. She had a lovely marriage, but he had a heart attack and died. And she focused on raising their children. And she's kind of now at this place where the kids are grown, and she's really focused on being with her friends. And they're not anti-men, but a little bit. And
Yeah.
so he's got a little bit of a barrier to break down. And I'm having fun with this one because it's a bit of a different kind of thing than what I've done before. And I like the challenge. I'm enjoying the challenge.
That's a lot of fun. One of the books that we read in the book club, it was set in Arizona, is by author Lynn Spreen, Spreen,
Okay.
and it was starting over in Sedona, I think it was called.
Ooh, okay.
And her characters are all older as well. And
Okay.
I was reading a report from from someone else about Amazon recently, and the later in life romances are becoming a bigger category, which
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
super cool because
I love that.
there's a lot of us that are kind of older, later in life, if you will. So,
Yeah. Well, I'm
so
thinking about that's the thing. I'm thinking about the readers, and
yeah,
it's fun to imagine and think back to when, you were younger or in a different location where you don't live. It's fun to do that imagination thing, but it's also nice to see people that look like you and think
yeah.
like you and have some of the same worries and same insecurities, right? And so I actually have a friend who really likes my books, and when I'm done with this draft, I really want her to take a look at it and give me
Hmm.
some feedback as a beta
Nice.
reader, because I feel like she's in that spot. She's, her husband passed away 5 or 6 years ago. She's
Yeah.
doing a lot of the grandma things, but she's also super cool and neat and fun. And I wonder what it would look like for her, if she
Yeah.
would be open to love again, or if she's like closed off from that. So I'm curious what she'll think of it. I hope she likes it. Yeah, that's going to mean a lot to me. Her
That's
feedback
cool.
is really
Yeah,
gonna mean
I
a lot.
like that. I find as I have gotten older that it's hard to relate to the characters that are in their 20s
Sure.
because it's been a few years since I've been in my 20s. And,
Me too. Yeah.
that's not where I am, or even, yeah, I don't know. It's especially, I guess,
Yeah.
the 20s in today's world versus 20s when I was in my 20s.
Oh,
It
yeah.
looks a
Right.
lot different. And so yeah, I have a hard time writing or reading 20-year-olds lately, and
Mhm.
nothing against that age. I've got two kids that are
No,
that age and I love them
sure.
dearly, but
Yeah, me
I
too.
can't write them. So
Yeah.
so I
Yeah.
like that. That's
Absolutely.
exciting. That sounds like a really fun project that you're
Yeah.
working on. So good luck with that one.
Yeah. Thank you.
So for the book club, we're reading Flowers for
Dog life.
Hattie,
Uh-huh.
and set in a fictional version of Ocean City, which
Mhm.
I think is really cool.
Yeah.
So tell us about that one.
So that one was interesting. As I said, I've worked with a publisher off and on, and this was one that when it came to mind, like I said, I was kind of thinking about that, what happens in Vegas kind of thing, but I was also really moved. We had a speaker in our church one week, and it's a similar idea to what I present with Lifehouse, which is in Flowers for Hattie, where they have a kind of crisis pregnancy situation where they have
Right.
a home and it helps the women, but it helps them beyond just we really want you to have this baby and we're going to support you, because maybe it's adoption that she's looking at. She's not looking to raise this child. She's not able to, nor does she feel she's prepared to. But giving her the life skills so that this situation is a springboard to a better life for her. So
Nice.
if she does just choose to take care of the child, that's great. But if she chooses to move on and do, something else, that's fine too. And so I was kind of thinking about these like elements, you've got
Hmm.
like the what happens in Vegas kind of thing. And I was thinking about how that's often, like the party side of it. And it's a fine, I guess, marketing tactic to, put Vegas up that way, or any vacation. And we do think of it.
Right.
We go, we have fun, we don't bring it home. But again, I was thinking about those women that are there. And then I was thinking about this additional element of that guest speaker at church talking about, how hard it is for a single woman and how easy it is often, the man goes away and does his
Moves
thing,
on
and he
with life. Yeah.
doesn't know about the child, or does and doesn't care, has encouraged her to get an abortion, is not going to financially help, is not capable of financial help. And I'm not here to besmirch anybody and say anything negative about, a man doing that, because often if he doesn't know, how can he help, right? But just looking at the reality of that situation, and unfortunately in Hattie's case, she was saved. So fortunately for her, she was saved through Lifehouse, which is why she feels so tied to it. But she's also seen the other side of it, working in it so long, and has real opinions about men. Other than she's got these cousins that she works with, and they're really kind, they're funny, they're supportive, they're encouraging, all the things. And when she can't make the bills, her cousin Mickey, who she's really close with, is one of the first to step up and sort of slip in and pay the bills. But she doesn't want him to keep doing that.
Yeah.
She wants to be able to find the funding herself. And part of it is her sense of independence. And part of it is, just not wanting to take advantage of her family.
Hmm.
So that's really where it kind of came from. And, Hattie had to be a bit of a tough cookie throughout this book. And so I actually had one reader say, for a while I wanted to just smack her or shake her or something because she's being so difficult. But the reality is, when you have those defenses and you've built those walls, it can't just come down because one nice guy says one nice thing. And
Right.
even if he is legitimate, if she has built this barrier for years and has these deeply rooted issues, it's going to take a lot of time for her to
Hmm.
get past that and to change and to trust him, right? And
Right.
he's got all the things against him. He's famous. He's only here for a short time. He's got money. He's got all the things against him in her mind.
Right.
So he has
Right.
to really chisel away at those. But I actually had, I have it right here. I should have pulled it up so I was prepared for this because I didn't think of it until now. But I had a reader and I didn't expect it. She reached out to me. Um, just a few days ago on Monday, last week actually. And she said, I took flowers for Hattie to Hawaii with me last week, and I period could period not period put period it period down exclamation points. It was so good. I loved it. And that I didn't expect that. And again, she didn't have to text me that. She's, a
That's
woman
so
from my
sweet.
church that I've known through my Bible study. And that to me is when I get those kind of things, because I haven't been in the crisis pregnancy situation.
Right.
I haven't. I've been supported. I've been married for both my pregnancies. I've not had any of the issues, but I've seen women that have had some of them. And
Hmm.
so I tried to sort of bring some of that into the conversation, but it's challenging when you have a book like this to also not make it a downer,
Right.
to make it
Or to
encouraging.
make it to they call it bright sighting, I think, where it's
Yes.
all,
Yes.
kind of gloss over the hard parts.
Right. Right. Right.
So
Yeah. I don't want
yeah.
to sugarcoat it. I don't want to,
Yeah.
I don't want to make it a negative thing.
Right.
I want to show the grit and show some of that too. But it is a romance. I want to keep it in that
Yeah.
category. So you are going to have the happily ever after. And that's kind of, it's kind of funny. Some people will say like romance is so predictable or whatever.
Of
Isn't
course
that
it
what we
is.
love about it? I mean,
Exactly.
for me,
That's why we pick them up.
oh goodness gracious. I'm so angry if I pick up what I think is a romance and it doesn't end in happily ever after. And I'm like, what on
Exactly.
earth?
That's
It's
what a
just
disappointment. Yeah.
false
Yeah.
advertising.
Exactly. I was talking
Yeah.
to an author the other day, and it's like, some of the it's been, life has been hard for a lot of people in the last several years.
For
And
sure.
I don't know, I think that there's a reason romance is the top selling category in the world. And
Agree.
like it or not, it is, and it's needed. So
Yeah, like I said, it's my escape writing it, but
mhm.
it's my escape reading it. I mean, what do I go to
Same.
at the end of the day? I pick up a romance novel. And actually, I was looking at your list and you read Across America, and I was like, oh, I want that one and that one and that one. And I was starting to like get into it, which is exciting because I love being exposed to new authors. Sometimes I
Yeah,
get in those patterns of reading the same thing. So
same. Yeah.
it's exciting to see what you've done with this list and to be able to be, finding new people that I can read.
There's so
I'm loving that.
many good authors, and it's I was talking to some of the ladies in the book club, and it's like,
Mhm.
well, I'm still trying to get through so and so's books, and she's got like
Yeah.
17 in the series. And
Yeah.
so there are some rabbit holes. It should come with a
Yeah.
warning sign sometimes, but
Oh, and I'll
but
find someone I like, and then I do go and buy all the books, and it's like,
exactly,
but
exactly.
that's
And
okay. I can give gifts of these books. I can come back and read them later.
yep,
Believe me, I'm always going to be reading, so I'll die with a TBR pile that's above my head, and that's okay. That's
that's a
fine.
happy reader right there, I think, in my
Yeah,
opinion. So
yeah, for
that's how it
sure.
should be. So well, thank you
Yeah,
so much for joining me and for sharing New Jersey with
yeah,
us, and for sharing
absolutely.
flowers for Hattie. And I look forward to reading it. It is next on my TBR. So I
Excellent. Well,
just
thank you
downloaded it
so
today.
much.
So looking forward to
Wonderful.
diving in.
Well, I hope you enjoy Hattie and Finn's story. I really had a good time. He's a sweetheart. I think you'll like him a lot.
I'm looking forward to it. Just the blurb that you have on Amazon is was
Yeah.
enough to catch me. So I'm looking forward to diving into it.
Great. Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me.
This has been a lot of fun. Thanks for the fun conversation.
Thanks for joining me today. If you'd like to be part of the Read Across the US Book Club, I'd love to have you join us. There is a link in the show notes. So just head down there and click, and we will welcome you in. So see you in the book club, I hope. Have a great day, and we'll see you next week with a new episode.